Welcome to your Deep Dive listener. Today, we're going to be stepping into the future of inventory management. And no, I'm not just talking about slapping some fancy new barcode scanners on everything. We're talking about tech so advanced it honestly feels like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. You guys sent over some really ambitious plans for a cutting-edge inventory system. And to help us unpack it all, I've got an expert in the field joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, picture this. A gigantic warehouse, just absolutely buzzing with activity. But instead of just, people and forklifts, we've got LiDAR sensors, like everywhere you look. To superhuman eyes, constantly creating this incredibly detailed 3D map of everything happening. And if that wasn't cool enough, we're also adding autonomous drones to the mix, equipped with even more sensors, just zipping around and capturing data from every nook and cranny. Well, it's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is LiDAR and why is it such a big deal?
Yeah, that's a great question. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. And it's really revolutionizing how we track and manage inventory, on a fundamental level. Imagine holding like a 3D scanner in your hand. But instead of capturing a single object, it's mapping out an entire warehouse down to the millimeter, and it's doing it in real time.
So it's like giving the warehouse itself the ability to see. Right.
Yeah.
But how does this compare to the traditional ways of doing things? Like, what's the big advantage here?
Well, think about like manual inventory counting for a second. It's incredibly time consuming. It's prone to human error, and it often requires businesses to literally halt their operations just to get like a semi-accurate count.
It's like trying to count every grain of sand on the beach, and completely inefficient.
Exactly. And estimations, well, they're helpful, but they're often just that, educated guesses. LiDAR changes all of that. It's like the difference between using a blurry old map versus like having GPS navigation that's constantly updating. Suddenly, businesses have this incredibly accurate real-time picture of their inventory, which allows them to make, much more informed decisions and really optimize their operations.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, in the documents you provided, you included a diagram labeled Advanced Inventory Management System Architecture. And I gotta say, it looks incredibly complex.
It does, doesn't it?
Can you walk us through the key components of this system and how it all comes together?
Absolutely. It might seem complicated at first glance, but it's actually quite elegant in its design.
I love it when things are elegant and efficient, so tell me more.
Well, it all starts with data acquisition, which is like the system's senses, right? This is where LiDAR sensors, high-definition cameras mounted on those drones, and even IoT sensors for things like temperature monitoring all come in. They work together to create this complete picture of what's in the warehouse, but also what condition it's in.
So it's not just about knowing where everything is, but also the state it's in. Like if those new sweaters are being stored at the right temperature. That's a game changer for quality control.
Exactly. And all of this data then gets fed into what we call the processing and analysis layer. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay, so we've got mountains of data coming in from all these sensors. What happens next? How does the system actually make sense of it all?
This is where the power of AI and machine learning really comes in. We're not just talking about counting boxes anymore. These algorithms can analyze the data and actually tell you what's inside those boxes, identify any damage, predict future needs based on past trends, and even detect if something is missing.
Wow, that's like having a superpowered inventory manager who never sleeps, never takes a break.
That's a great way to put it. And this is just the beginning. Imagine the possibilities when you combine this level of inventory visibility with other emerging technologies, things like robotics and predictive analytics.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just scratching the surface. Let's take a moment to unpack how this might actually look in a real-world setting. You've provided a fascinating case study about a massive e-commerce fulfillment center, but we'll save that for after a quick break.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the technology itself. But what's really exciting is how it actually translates to real-world benefits. So let's dive into that e-commerce fulfillment center example you mentioned.
Yes. We're talking about a facility so massive. It could practically be its own zip code, right?
It's pretty incredible.
Millions of products moving in and out at lightning speed. How does this kind of system even work in that environment?
So imagine this. A 1.2 million square foot facility, constantly buzzing with activity, processing orders for over 200,000 different products. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even the smallest improvement in efficiency can have a massive impact on a business like that.
Absolutely, in that kind of high-stakes environment. Even a fraction of a % increase in efficiency could be millions of dollars saved.
Precisely. And that's where this technology really comes in. Instead of relying on, periodic manual checks, which are disruptive and prone to errors, the entire warehouse is constantly monitored in real time. The system combines fixed LiDAR sensors, which are strategically placed throughout the warehouse, with a swarm of those autonomous drones that we talk about for a truly comprehensive view.
It's like having an army of tiny robots just working around the clock to keep everything running smoothly.
That's a great analogy. And these robot workers, so to speak, they're constantly feeding data back to the system, ensuring pinpoint accuracy. Imagine the impact this has on a company's bottom line. When they can virtually eliminate stock discrepancies, making sure customers are never disappointed by out-of-stock items.
No more scrambling to find that last unicorn toy during the holiday rush because the system flagged a potential shortage weeks ago.
Exactly. But it goes beyond just inventory accuracy. Think about the physical process of picking and packing orders. In a traditional warehouse, workers might follow static routes, which can be incredibly inefficient. With this system, however, workers can be dynamically guided to the nearest available item based on real-time inventory data.
So no more zigzagging across a massive warehouse just to fulfill a single order. That's a huge time saver. And probably reduces workplace accidents too, right?
You've hit on another crucial aspect: worker safety. Warehouses, by their very nature, can be hazardous environments. But with this kind of system in place, you're adding an extra layer of protection. The drones, with their advanced sensors, can identify potential hazards that might be missed by the human eye.
Things like blocked aisles or unstable stacks of boxes, they're immediately flagged by the system, so action can be taken before it even becomes an issue for a person on the ground.
Exactly. This proactive approach to safety not only protects workers, but it also minimizes disruptions and keeps operations running smoothly. It's a win-win for the company and its employees.
It's amazing how this technology touches on so many different aspects of the business, from the big picture stuff like efficiency and cost savings to the day-to-day realities of worker safety. This is just within the four walls of a warehouse. And the materials you provided, you mentioned other industries that are already benefiting from LiDAR technology. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Absolutely. What's fascinating about LiDAR is its versatility. It's not just transforming warehouses, it's making waves in fields like construction, mining, agriculture, even waste management.
Wow, so from tracking packages to potentially tracking our trash, the applications seem kind of endless. But let's start with just one example. Can you walk us through how LiDAR is being used in something like, say, mining?
Mining is a great example because it highlights how LiDAR can improve both efficiency and safety in a traditionally hazardous industry. Instead of relying on manual surveys, which can be dangerous and time-consuming, companies are using LiDAR-equipped drones to create highly detailed 3D maps of their mines.
So it's like giving the mining operation X-ray vision, but instead of looking for bones, they're looking for valuable resources and potential hazard.
Exactly. This real-time data allows them to optimize their operations, improve resource extraction, and, most importantly, identify and mitigate potential hazards like unstable rock formations. It's about working smarter, safer, and more sustainably.
This is already blowing my mind, but I can't help but wonder what's next. Where is all of this incredible technology headed in the future?
Well, one area where I see huge potential is in the integration of LiDAR with other emerging technologies, such as autonomous vehicles. Imagine a world where self-driving delivery trucks, guided by LiDAR, navigate our roads, optimizing routes, delivering goods with incredible precision.
Okay, now we're really talking about the future. I can already picture it. Drones zipping through the skies, self-driving trucks navigating our streets. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But what does this mean for the way we manage inventory?
It means we're moving closer to a world of truly frictionless, just-in-time inventory management. Imagine a supply chain where every single step from raw material extraction to final delivery is optimized and, in many cases, automated. Using a combination of LiDAR, AI, and robotics, this level of visibility and control has the potential to completely revolutionize the way businesses operate, making them more efficient, more sustainable, and more responsive to customer needs.
It's almost like we're moving towards a world where the concept of inventory, as we know it, becomes almost obsolete.
That's a really interesting way to put it. With this level of real-time tracking and optimization, businesses could theoretically operate with much leaner inventories, reducing waste, minimizing storage costs, and ultimately becoming much more agile and responsive to changes in demand.
This is an incredible vision for the future of inventory management.
Mm.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a moment. I know our listeners are eager to learn how they can apply some of these principles to their own businesses. What advice would you give to a business owner who's, excited about this technology, but not sure where to begin?
That's a great question. It can definitely feel overwhelming at first, but I always advise businesses to start with a clear understanding of their own needs and pain points. What are the biggest challenges you're facing when it comes to managing your inventory? Once you have a handle on that, then you can start exploring which technologies are the right fit for your specific situation.
So it's not necessarily about adopting like every single new piece of technology that comes out,
Yeah.
but rather about finding the tools that address your unique needs and challenges.
Absolutely. And the good news is there are more and more options available all the time, even for small and medium-sized businesses. From affordable LiDAR sensors to cloud-based inventory management software, there's a solution out there for every budget and every level of technological expertise.
It's really incredible to think that these tools, which once seemed so futuristic and out of reach, are now becoming more and more accessible to businesses of all sizes.
Exactly. And that's what makes this such an exciting time to be involved in this field. The barriers to entry are coming down, and the potential for innovation is truly limitless.
We've talked a lot about the practical applications of LiDAR, but you mentioned something earlier that I found particularly fascinating, the concept of a digital twin. Can you elaborate on that a bit more? What exactly does that mean in the context of inventory management?
Absolutely. A digital twin, in simple terms, is like a virtual replica of a physical asset, like a warehouse. But it's not just a static 3D model. It's a dynamic, data-rich representation that updates in real time.
So it's like having a virtual copy of your warehouse
Right.
that you can analyze and experiment with without having to move a single box in the real world.
You got it.
Yeah.
This allows businesses to do things like simulate different warehouse layouts, test various picking routes, even experiment with the placement of equipment, all within a virtual environment.
That's incredible. It's like having a virtual laboratory where you can test out different scenarios and see the impact on your operations before you make any real-world changes.
Precisely. This ability to test and iterate in a risk-free virtual environment is a game changer for businesses. It allows them to be more agile, more responsive to change, and ultimately more competitive in today's rapidly evolving marketplace.
It's like having a crystal ball that lets you peek into the future of your business and make adjustments accordingly. But instead of relying on magic, you're relying on data and cutting-edge technology.
I like that analogy, and that's really what it's all about. Using technology to gain a deeper understanding of our businesses and make more informed decisions. And this is just the beginning. As these technologies continue to evolve, I think we're going to see even more innovative and transformative applications emerge.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from warehouses stacked with boxes to a future where those boxes are practically invisible, managed by a symphony of sensors and algorithms. We've talked about efficiency, sustainability, even the social impact of these technologies. But before we wrap things up, there's one more aspect of this technology I want to touch on. Its potential impact on sustainability.
Yeah.
You mentioned this briefly earlier, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
I completely agree. It's easy to get caught up in the coolness factor of things like drones and artificial intelligence. But at the end of the day, technology should be about more than just bells and whistles. It should be about creating a better future for everyone.
And when we talk about a better future, sustainability, it's got to be part of the conversation, right? It can't just be a buzzword.
100%, yeah. And the good news is that many of these technologies we've been discussing, especially LiDAR, they have huge implications for sustainability. It's not just about reducing waste, although obviously that's a huge part of it.
Right. We talked about optimizing warehouse layouts and delivery routes, which means fewer trucks on the road, less fuel burned. But, it's bigger than that, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, yeah. With this level of inventory data, businesses can operate with much leaner inventories, less storage space, fewer products going obsolete, and way less waste overall. It's about doing more with less, which is, that's the heart of sustainability.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about saving money at that point. It's about saving resources. If we can use technology to reduce the amount of stuff we produce, transport, and ultimately waste, that's a win for everybody.
Absolutely. And imagine the impact when you apply this thinking across the entire supply chain, from how we extract raw materials to how products are manufactured and transported. There's potential at every stage to reduce our environmental footprint.
It's almost like we're moving from this like linear take, make, dispose model to a more circular economy where resources are used more efficiently and waste is minimized.
Precise. And it's not just about the environment either. It's about people too.
Mm.
By optimizing these supply chains, you're making things more affordable, more accessible. That has a social impact as well.
It's about creating a future where everyone has access to what they need without, putting undue strain on the planet.
Exactly. It's about progress, but progress with a purpose. And I really think these technologies have the potential to be a major, major driver of that kind of progress.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've gone from, warehouses stacked with boxes to a future where those boxes are practically invisible, managed by like the symphony of sensors and algorithms. We've talked about efficiency, sustainability, even the social impact of these technologies. Listener, I hope you're leaving this deep dive with a sense of excitement about the future of inventory management. It's not just about spreadsheets and barcode scanners anymore. It's about innovation. It's about data-driven decision-making. It's about using technology to create a more efficient, more sustainable, and frankly, more equitable world. So here's some food for thought as you go about your day. If you could predict exactly what you needed, exactly when you needed it, what would that mean for your business? What would that mean for your life? You've been on a deep dive with us, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the ideas shaping our world.